the Halloween stories is I want to start out by talking about and let everybody know I'm a high school teacher. And it was about 4 years ago. I teach in what our high school, they have what's called a South House. And it's basically 10 rooms with a little commons area. And then there's a wall that separates us from the North House, and they're on the other side. And so if I want to go over and talk to somebody on the north side, it takes about 10 minutes, or excuse me, about 5 minutes to get over there. So we only have 6 minutes between class. So I had to call the other teacher on the other side of the wall to ask her for some advice. So I called, and it's protocol at our school that if a student answers the phone, they have to identify themselves. So they'll say, like, Mr. Filley's room, student speaking. So I called Ms. Grundhofer, and the phone gets answered, and it was a student. And they're like, Ms. Grundhofer's room, student speaking. And I thought, well, this would be kind of funny to play a little prank, right? So I said, who's watching the children? So instead of getting a laugh, I got, oh no! Clam, the phone hung up. Exactly, just like that. So I called back, right? Because I thought I better tell them, because, you know, nowadays you never know, they might think they're in danger. Ring, 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 4 rings, and then it goes to voicemail. And I thought, oh no, I have to go walk over there, right? So I hurriedly start walking over to go tell them that everything's okay. I get midway through to the North House, and the principal gets on the intercom. We are now in lockdown. We are now in lockdown. This is a real world situation. This is not a drill. So I found out there's a very fine line between Halloween prank and the unemployment line. So I always loved Halloween, and it was always my job to bring the kids out trick-or-treating. I have 3 boys, and it was my wife's job to buy the candy, and then she would hand it out. Well, for whatever reason, one year she wasn't able to get the candy. So she called me, she says, you got to get the candy for the kids, I'll be there, but you need to go get the candy. And I said, okay. So I went to one of those big box stores. I won't say the name, but it rhymes with doll cart. And I went in, and they had these little yellow smiley face gumballs. They were like $3 million for $1. And I'm a teacher, so every kid in town shows up at your house, and they critique what you give them the next day. You hear about it, if it was a good candy or not, or bad candy. So I thought, okay, there's going to be a lot of kids, so we got to have quantity, right? So that's a good thing. And it was $3 million for $1, so I said it's cheap, so that's a great thing. So I bought that candy. Well, I found out that was the wrong choice, because all the kids let me know the next day how horrible these gumballs were. I guess enamel-covered lead is not a good item for kids. Parents actually emailed me, and we're not very happy about this candy either. The only person that was happy was our town dentist, who actually thanked me because 4 kids had chipped their teeth and 2 had pulled out fillings chewing on these. So that was kind of interesting. But it was always fun to take my kids out, and after that my wife was able to go with too, because after I gave the gumballs, nobody ever wanted to come to our house anymore. So we ended up going out one year, and it was always kind of fun with the 3 boys, and then the oldest one he wanted to go with his friends, and then he got too old, and the second one, he got, eventually weeded out, so it was just the last son. And this was his last year that we were going to do the trick-or-treat, because he told me at the end that was it. So we were walking, and this was the year, now my wife had our big dog with, and walking the dog, and of course we're watching all the kids. My son's going up to the houses, getting candy, and all of a sudden, I hear this screaming. Now where we live, it's not very well lit, okay? I don't know why, but it seems like the street lights are about every end of the block, and you're lucky if they're working, kind of thing. And I hear this screaming, no, leave me alone, no. Now this was the year that the first Despicable Me movie came out. You guys, do you like Despicable Me? Okay. So we see a boy who's in a head-to-toe banana outfit. Okay, he's in a banana costume, and he's running. And it was really hard for him to run, because the banana was like restricting his legs from running. His arms were kind of sticking out like this, and so he wasn't really getting a lot of momentum. And he was running and screaming, no, leave me alone. Well, then in the light, we finally saw who was chasing him. There was 4 boys that were dressed as minions. And they're screaming, banana, banana, banana. This poor kid did a face plant. He just tripped and was smacked right face down. Somehow he rolled himself onto his back, but once again, this banana outfit was so hard for him to get up. He's trying to rock. We're watching this, and I'm laughing, and then all the minions are around him high-fiving each other, banana, banana, like that. And my wife says, go help him. So I walk over there, and they realized they saw, Mr. Filley, the teacher, and they thought they were going to get in trouble, so all the 4 minions took off. And I picked him up from the ground because I was worried somebody might slip on him. So I got him up, and he sent him on his way. And so we're finishing the trick-or-treating, and like I said, my son said, that's it, I'm done. I think this is the last year. And then I kind of went back, as a father, you parents, you understand this, you have those memories, and like, this is it, this is the end of an era. And then I started really drifting off and thinking about when my wife found out she was going to have my son. Now, I've heard that a due date, or when you're born, can actually affect who you are. Like, if you're born on Valentine's Day, you might be a romantic. If you're born on Labor Day, you might be a hard worker. Well, my mother-in-law was born on Halloween. I can say that because my wife's not here. But she's kind of a cranky person. I'll just leave it at that. I could give you many examples, but just take my word for it. And I remember she said when she found out that the due date was Halloween, it was the actual same date, she was all excited. She said, this is going to be great. She goes, if you have a girl, we're going to name her Rose, because her name was Rose. And I thought, okay. I said, hopefully we have a boy. I said, what if it's a boy? We'll name him Roosevelt. And she said, and if he's born or she's born on the same day as me, they're going to be just like me. Yeah, not a good situation. So, of course, we go full term. We have the baby. It's 9 o'clock, Halloween night, and I'm thinking we're going to be safe. All of a sudden, my wife says, I come back from trick-or-treating with the other 2 boys, and she says, we got to get to the hospital. I'm like, uh-oh. So we drive to the hospital. It's 9 o'clock. Now, at the local small hospital that we're at, they do one thing where they have the kids bring their candy in, and they x-ray it. Because remember how there used to be the big fear that somebody would put something in the candy. So they would x-ray the candy, and then to make it this big festivity, they would have the kids go up and down the hallways of the hospital trick-or-treating, and they'd have the patients would have a little candy there and whatever, and their family members could be with them. And so it was kind of fun for people that weren't able to be out, and they were still in the hospital, they could be part of this. So this, like I said, it's just a small one-hall hospital basically, and the neonatal room was down at the end, so of course they shut our door. And it was kind of funny because as it was getting closer to, the things happening, I'm doing the Lamaze thing. I'm like, relax, breathe. And all of a sudden outside from the door, you can hear outside in the hallway, trick or treat. So it's like, relax, trick or treat, breathe, trick or treat. So you're hearing this kind of weird stuff. Well, one kid got a little curious and don't know if he didn't see the sign that said do not open the door. Maybe he couldn't read, maybe he was just daring, but he opened the door. And I heard this, tricker, oh no! And he ran out. He must have told everybody because nobody else came in there. But we got to about 11:30. Of course, by that point, everybody's gone. It's about 11:30, and we're getting really close to the baby being born. And things happened, and the baby was born, and he had his umbilical cord wrapped around his neck. And it was really scary for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, no! Please help him, save him. The 2 nurses and the doctor, they're like massaging him and doing all this little slappy stuff and making him this and that, and suctioning and whatever they were doing. And all of a sudden, he's fine and he's starting to get color. And the doctor looks up and he looks at the clock. He said it was about 12:20. He says, I didn't see what time he was born. Did anybody notice? I looked at my wife. I looked up at the clock. And all I remembered was my mother-in-law saying, if the child's born on the Halloween, it's going to be just like me. And I looked at the clock, I looked at the doctor, he said it was 12:05. And that's why my youngest son was born on November 1st. Thank you.